Here for domestic purposes only.
All right. There's no objection from the defense. You may A, publish them as you desire. They have been admitted in the record.
Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Prescott, can we see State's Exhibit number 73, please? Agent Fitzgerald, do you see your exhibit, the exhibit on the screen in front of you?
Yes.
Okay. And using State's Exhibit number 73, can you please explain what it is that we're looking at?
So this is just a picture of a fairly standard cell phone tower you'd see anywhere in the United States. And on the right-hand side is just a zoomed in of the same photo, just the top half of that tower, to show that these items at the very top are the actual antennas, and this particular tower has multiple stacks of antennas. So it could be just one company, or more than likely it's multiple networks like your AT&Ts, Verizons, Metro PCS, all on one tower. So, it's not drawing on us. Oh, up there. So when you have your phone out, your phone is constantly monitoring the signal from these various towers in the area and determining which is the strongest, clearest signal, and then it's communicating with these antenna structures for your provider and asking for resources on that tower. So when it gets granted resources, the call goes through to some equipment at the base of that tower, which connects to the network. The network connects to the rest of the world and can connect your phone call either way. If you get a call in, the network will page for your handset. Your handset, it's just like I kind of relate it to a good student in a class. So when he wants to talk to the teacher, he's going to raise his hand. When the teacher's ready to talk to him, she says, "Johnny, what's your question?" Or if she calls on Johnny, he will then respond with the answer. So very similar in the cellular field.
You've used the phrase cell tower, and then you've used the phrase cell site. Is there any difference between those two things?
No, they're synonymous.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Oh. All right. Can we move then to State's Exhibit number 74?
So this is just a slide I put together to show that the different types of cell towers that can be out there. There are several companies that are hired to disguise cell towers, sometimes as the worst, tallest tree that you've ever seen in the area, or they'll paint it as side of the building. And it's just to kind of let you know that just your phone is programmed to only talk to a certain network. So if you see the tower sitting across the street from you and you're wondering why you don't have service, that doesn't mean that's necessarily the tower your phone's talking to. If it's not speaking its language, if you have a Verizon phone and it's a Metro PCS tower, it's invisible. It just doesn't exist to your handset. And sometimes you might not see the tower. It could be disguised or hidden in some kind of way. So just because you do or don't see a tower doesn't mean that's the one your phone's communicating with.
Thank you. We see State's Exhibit number 75, please.
So each network keeps track of where all of their towers are located through sometimes it's called the Base Station Almanac, the tower list. It's got several different names, but the engineers keep track of where their towers are located and their unique. So each one has a unique name and number because, like I said, they need to know where all these resources are so they can keep the quality control on your phone so they can deliver the call or receive the call. So this is just taking that tower list and plotting it on a map instead of being a big stack of paper with just latitude, longitudes, and numbers. I can take that and put it on a map so that it can be seen graphically. And if I had a phone, if I was standing in this area that I've marked on the screen, my phone is going to start communicating with that tower and sector. So each tower is divided into typically 3 sectors. It's just like taking a piece of pie, dividing it equally between you and 2 friends, and just saying each of us are going to get an equal share of this pie, and you have 3 pieces of the pie. As my phone travels, as I connect on the call and my phone starts to travel, my phone will communicate back to the network the signal strength or how clear the signal is, and it'll report that a signal's getting worse and another signal's getting stronger. And what the network will do is, as I travel either around the tower, I'll be handed off from sector to sector, And as an end user, I won't know any difference. I just get handed off, the network's doing everything. Or as I travel along the highway or some other road, I'll be handed off from tower to tower, sector to sector. So in theory, I should be able to get on 285, start my call, drive all the way around 285, and end the call whenever I want, but I could just keep driving around it, and I'm going to be handed off from tower to tower, sector to sector. Of course, there's always instances where you get into, what the commercial says, the dead zone, or where there's no coverage and your call gets dropped. But if everything goes like it's supposed to, you should just be handed off and not know any difference.
And what information in reviewing the records that you are able to review typically, what can you tell about somebody's location or the direction of travel?
So in different networks, we can get the first initial tower that's communicated with and the terminating tower. Sometimes we get both, sometimes we only get one. And on AT&T in particular, sometimes we'll get some of the intermediate towers, but it's not a guarantee. So for the most part, the only thing we're guaranteed is if they have service, that first tower. Sometimes we'll get the ending tower, and if we have a first tower over here and an ending tower is this 41708, and it's 30 seconds later or a minute later, we can usually assume that the phone traveled in an easterly direction and started a call on one tower and terminated on another.
All of your examples have used or referenced cell phone calls. Is there any other way that your phone could be in use that you would get any sort of information on the cell phone towers that you described?
Yes, with AT&T, we can get text messaging, tower information for text messaging. And it would just give like an initial tower. So text messaging is usually very quick. So it's just what's like a fire and forget mission. It's just you text, you send, it's gone. Same as when it's delivered. It's just an initial tower. That's it.
Can we look please at States Exhibit number 76? Thank you. What are we looking at States Exhibit number 76, Agent Fitzgerald?
So this is just sample CDR or a call detail record that was obtained from AT&T on a particular number. So we have the number up here. I'm off a little bit. 1931, ending in 1931 is the original number that is requested. Yeah, 404-374-1931. So that's the records that were requested. And then just kind of going from left to right, a lot of the columns are fairly self-explanatory. So you have a date column, you have a time column that just show the date and time that the call was made. And then as you go further over to the right, you have a seizure time, which is the time that it took to set the call up and actually make the call happen. And then further to the right.
Can I stop you there a minute?
Yes.
The seizure time to set the call up and make the call happen, what does that mean?
Like to get the resources from the network. So if I'm dialing my phone, I hit the green button, it might take a little while before I get the actual resources, and that's typically what the seizure time is.
Okay, I'm sorry, thank you. Can you go on?
The next one's the originating number. So who's the person that started the call? So if it's an incoming call, it's going to be what shows up on your caller ID or who's calling you. If I'm dialing the number, I'm the originating caller. So the terminating number is the exact opposite, who's receiving the call. So once again, if I'm the one receiving the call, I'll be the terminating. And if I make a call, it'll be whoever I'm calling. The elapsed time is the amount of time the call was connected. So how long in duration did that call last? Number dialed is just the number that they dialed. And then the IMEI, the next column is the IMSI. That's just identifiers on the handset that was used. So on this 374-1931, the IMEI is like a serial number specific to the phone, and the IMSI is like the little chip. If you're ever taking your phone apart and you have a T-Mobile or AT&T, you see the chip. It's a SIM card, and that contains your IMSI. Description is the direction of the call.
And what do you mean by that, the direction of
Whether it's incoming, outgoing, what it boils down to.
Okay.
And then the last column is the cell location. So we have these unique numbers within the network. So there's no other tower and sector that would be 4011, 40268. That's unique across all the United States. And then if you keep scrolling to the right, it'll provide, actually goes into the tower list, and it'll provide, this is the longitude, and then if you keep going to the right, then you have the latitude and then a possible azimuth of that sector. So it'll tell you where that tower is located and the direction, you know, that sector is pointing.
All right. Agent Fitzgerald, is this all information that the cell phone company would routinely send a user every month when they get their bill?
No, this is the actual call detail report, so that what you would be referring to is more of a billing record, and it is obtained from this, but it's a watered down version of this. So it'll show, if you request like a detailed bill, it'll show the date, time, duration, and possibly who you were talking to at the time, phone number.
Were you able, Agent Fitzgerald, to review phone records provided to you during the investigation of the murder of Andrea Sneiderman?
Yes.
Okay. And what cell phone records were you able to review?
I had this particular number, the 374-1931. I also had a 404-797-3650 telephone number.
Were you able to obtain subscriber information for the numbers that you reviewed?
Yes.
Okay, and tell the jury, what's subscriber information?
I don't remember the addresses off the top of my head, but the 1931 number came back.
Well, let me stop. Before you tell me about the specific ones in this case, what is it that we're talking about when we talk about subscriber information?
It's just another record that the phone company keeps, and it would be whatever name is provided when that account is set up for that particular phone number.
Okay, does it identify who it was that the phone belongs to or is registered to?
Yes, it can be, yes.
Okay. All right, and I'm sorry I interrupted you. You were telling me about the phone numbers that you reviewed in connection to this case.
Yeah, so the 374-1931 came back to Andrea Sneiderman, and the 797-3650 came back to Hemi Newman.
What is the span of time that you reviewed the phone records for the defendant Andrea Sneiderman and Hemi Newman? Do you recall, roughly?
I believe it started in April or May of 2010 and went all the way through, definitely went through November. It might have even gone through December.
Of 2010?
Yes.
All right. Did you direct your attention to any particular dates, without asking you what those dates are? Did you direct your attention to particular dates that were identified to you to be of interest in the case?
Yes.
Has he State's Exhibit number 77, please? All right. Agent Fitzgerald, can you? I'm going to try to set up my easel so I'm not blocking anyone. And can you describe for us what we're looking at State's Exhibit number 77?
Yeah, so this is taking the call detail record and just displaying the information that was contained in the call detail record graphically on a map. So I have telephone number, the number we talked about earlier, the 404-797-3650.
And whose phone number was that?
The Hemi Newman phone.
Okay.
And it shows that there were 10 calls from 5:13 to 6:42, and they utilized a cell tower that was located in the Hartsfield Atlanta Airport.
And what was the date of that?
July 21st, 2010.
July 21st. So what, if anything, are you able to conclude about the location of Mr. Newman's cell phone while in use on July 21st, 2010?
It was at the Atlanta airport, right around the Atlanta airport, because there's also a few other calls from 6:53 to 7:03 utilizing a tower that's also near the airport.
Are you able to determine who it was that Mr. Newman was calling or receiving calls from while his phone was in use at the Atlanta airport on July 21st, 2010?
Yes, there were 2 texts and 1 call to 404-371-1931.
And whose number is that?
That's the number registered to Andrea Sneiderman.
Is Andrea Sneiderman's cell phone in use at the Atlanta airport on July 21st, 2010?
No.
Let's move into State's
Well,
Exhibit.
not at this time.
Not at this time.
Yeah.
Let's move into State's Exhibit number 78. What is it, Agent Fitzgerald, that we are looking at State's Exhibit number 78?
This is later in the day and
Later in the day, what day?
on the 21st, July 21st,
2010?
2010. And it's showing that the green dots are representing where the towers are located. So it's showing that the Sneiderman phone at 7:35 p.m. was utilizing a tower in the Longmont, Colorado area. And then
At what time?
7:35 p.m. Colorado time.
Colorado time? Go on.
And then it actually travels down to start utilizing towers at the Denver airport starting at 8:12 p.m.
Explain to the jurors how you can determine that the phone was traveling from Longmont, Colorado to the airport in Denver, Colorado on July 21st, 2010.
Well, it was using, as I testified to earlier, it was using at the 7:35 call, it was using a tower that was in the Longmont area, and then later in the, about 45 minutes or so later, 40 minutes later, it's utilizing towers right around the Denver airport at 8:12 p.m. As well as the Hemi Newman phone is also utilizing a tower at 8:12 p.m. at the airport.
So the Hemi Newman phone is using a tower located at the Denver airport at 8:12, and it was your testimony that the defendant's cell phone was also utilizing a tower at the Denver airport at 8:12?
That's correct. And they are, during that time, they are calling each other.
Why isn't, can you zoom in the way you had it, Mr. Pascal, please? If they are both at the at the Denver airport, why is it that the CID number on your exhibit, says exhibit number 78, is different?
Like I said, there's multiple towers in that area, and they're all in the same general area that service the airport. So it's just, it's a different number. Like I said, every sector is uniquely identified within their network. So they're not necessarily using the exact same sector and tower, but they're both using towers and sectors that are right there at the Denver airport.
At the Denver airport?
Yes.
Okay. While they're calling each other?
Correct.
We see State's Exhibit number 79, please. Agent Fitzgerald, what is it we're looking at as State's Exhibit number 79?
So I just went to July 22nd, so the next morning, and looked at what towers each phone was using. And I have both the Sneiderman phone and the Newman phone utilizing the same tower and same sector first thing in the morning. So the 1931 phone, or the Sneiderman phone, used tower 1119 at
What time in the morning was that?
7:02 a.m.
That's the defendant's phone?
That's correct.
And what about Hemi Newman's phone?
It'd be at 6:25 a.m.
That's Colorado time?
Correct.
What can you tell the jurors about the location of the individuals who were using Andrea Sneiderman's cell phone and Hemi Newman's cell phone in the early morning hours of July 22nd, 2010?
They're in the same, definitely in the same general geographic area.
Now, is this GPS we're talking about? Can you pinpoint somebody's address based on the information that you reviewed?
No, it's just saying they're in that general area utilizing. They have to be in the footprint of that tower to be utilizing it. So both of them are within that footprint of that tower.
Let's look at State's Exhibit number 80, please.
80?
80.
All right, 18. Go ahead.
Agent Fitzgerald, what are we looking at State's Exhibit number 80?
It's just the next morning on the 23rd of July 2010, and it's looking at the first calls of the day, and it's showing that the Andrea Sneiderman phone utilized that same tower as the 22nd and sector.
The same one as the morning before?
Yes.
Okay.
At 7:26 a.m.
And what about Mr. Newman's phone?
At 6:29 a.m. It's using that same
Same tower?
SID or cell ID 11119.
Same sector of that tower?
Yes.
6:29 a.m. I want to walk you back to the day before, Agent Fitzgerald, and ask you about a specific call that was made from Hemi Newman's phone on July 22nd, 2010.
Okay.
Are you familiar or are you aware of a call from Hemi Newman's phone on or about 7:26 p.m.?
Yes.
And who was that call to?
I looked up, there was a call at 7:17 of no duration, and a call that you're referring to at 7:26 p.m. to the same local number in Colorado, and it was 303-651-7256.
Were you able to obtain any subscriber information, or do you know to whom that number is registered?
I just did a simple Google search of that number, and it came back to Fong Garden.
Fong, F.
Can you spell that for me, please?
I wrote it down as F-O-N-G. Fong.
Fong Garden. And Mr. Newman plays that phone, not Ms. Sneiderman?
That's correct, yes.
I'm going to show you what has already been admitted into evidence, Your Honor. May I approach the witness?
You may.
That's State's Exhibit number 6. I'm going to ask you on State's Exhibit number 6 if you can identify the restaurant where the defendant, Andrea Sneiderman, expensed a meal while in Colorado.
Yeah, so it lists Fong Garden Restaurant for $29.17.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is, what exhibit number was that?
I referred the witness to State's Exhibit number 6, I believe, but we ended on State's Exhibit number 80.
Well, I know number 80, but I'm saying that one referring to Fong Garden. I was just getting a stopping point.
6.
6, Fong Garden.
Yes,
Okay,
Your Honor.
Fong Garden receipt. Okay,
Fong Garden.
That's the stopping point.
That's it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and take your midday break at this point in time. Deputy Garrett is assisting me, and we're going to pick up after we do this break. But let me give you these instructions. You're going to leave your notepads there in the jury room. Just turn them face down so no one will look at your notes but you. Do not discuss the case. I'll allow anyone to discuss the case with you. Do not remain upon the floor unless you are breaking for lunch, because I don't want you to hear anything you should not hear. Do not read or look at any media coverage pertaining to this case. Do not go upon the internet and do any research about this case. Do not blog about this case while it is ongoing. Do not go to any location that may have been made reference to, or attempt to go to any location that may have been made reference to. All the
And welcome back to 11 Alive's continuing coverage of the Andrea Sneiderman trial. I'm Jeff Hellinger along with attorney Tom Beaver. Tom, your resume is so